Yeah,
Oh,
that's just luck perms, I think. I don't
Luck
know.
perms is weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kitty is live.
All right. Thank you. By my math, we should be all set. Okay. All right. Let me just mute that so I don't have echo, and we are all set. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a surprise press conference. I think we did good this time, admins. We may have done pretty good. Just so everyone knows, well, I guess I'll spill the beans now. 2 hours ago, the admins, okay, could mods please make sure there are no errors and stuff? Thank you. Okay, 2 hours ago, the admins started an administrative staff meeting. These are held about every 6 months or so. They're kind of held on an ad hoc basis, and the whole thing is kept secret because we talk about some very internal stuff that is usually pretty sensitive and or people related. So we had one today. It is now over, and we have some announcements to share. First and foremost, on the subject of staff and staff positions, we have been keeping an eye, as usual, we've been keeping an eye on the staff team as a whole, and especially on the moderator side. We are effective immediately. We will be demoting Narnia 17 due to inactivity. Narnia hasn't been online or involved in staff for a while, so Narnia will be demoted down to Premier. As always, we've been really happy to work with Narnia during the time that he's been serving the community on staff. We have tried to contact him a little while ago to make sure that he's doing okay. It seems like everything is going okay, but that he's just hasn't been able to contribute. So Narnia will be down to Premier effective immediately. And as always, Narnia, thank you for everything you've done for us. Secondly, just in terms of going forward, we want to, thank you, Mega. Just in terms of going forward, we want to define some criteria that we're going to be using for staff, just so that staff are aware of what sorts of conditions would trigger an inactivity demotion. We've had a few of these in the past, and we just want to be a little bit more transparent on the criteria that we use to judge this sort of thing. So going forward, staff who breach the following thresholds will be needed to have a conversation with an admin to confirm their activity levels, real life situation, and ability to return to full service. So the thresholds that we will be looking for are connecting into Minecraft, helping out the community where you can, and voting on city rank promotions. If a staff member does none of these things in a 90-day span, then that'll trigger an inactivity conversation or demotion. So again, staff are expected to be in Minecraft, vote on the cities they're assigned, and to at least be helping out the community while they're online. We did talk about the potential for including GSM and ISM attendance. That was scrapped. Staff are still highly encouraged to participate as much as they can, just because we understand that there are a number of reasons that they may not want to participate in that process. And I will be, just so staff know, I will be making absentee ballots a bit more formal process for staff who won't be able to make a meeting. So there's no changes in our expectations there, but just know that Minecraft activity, city rank voting, and community service, those are the criteria that we're looking for. Staff who break those, you'll need to have a chat with an admin to confirm what your status is. Third announcement is, this one will be slightly more exciting, but probably not surprising. You all know that a few months ago, we had Gods come back to the staff team as a moderator. We are excited to announce that God's Old Train has accepted an offer to return as an admin. Gods has been able to confirm that his work stuff is not nearly as tumultuous or tricky to navigate as we thought it was going to be. So we are excited to welcome Gods back to the administrator role. I think that's all I have to say on staff stuff for now.
Just a quick add-on, just to be very clear. The title, Gods was originally had the title of the city rank coordinator. Just for clarity, just for now, Mega will still retain that title. That's going to be a conversation between Mega and Gods. I'll figure out if they decide to change over the title, then we'll make a subsequent announcement about that. But for now, Mega is still the city rank coordinator.
Yep.
Okay, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I think the last public announcement that we have to make is with regards to the ongoing conversation that's been had about some of the hate symbology and role playing and stuff like that. I will say generally, I personally have been happy to see that there's been a lot of good discourse and conversation on this topic in the public forums for the last month or so, and we want to continue to see that happen. We still haven't decided how we're going to handle the big conversation with this to formalize the rules. But the admins have decided one of the core guidelines that we will be using to guide that conversation. This has the weight of the rules. And I'm just going to read it off of our notes verbatim. So the guideline that we're going to be one of the main guidelines that we'll be using and putting forward to the community is as follows. Symbology and other content that is racist or anti-Semitic is explicitly banned effective immediately. Any use of the Confederate flag, Nazi swastikas, and recreations of the Holocaust are explicitly not allowed. Staff reserve the right to make a final determination if something crosses the line, and other items can be added to this list if the community determines them unacceptable. Of course, that's not an exhaustive list. We hope that we never have to encounter a situation where we have to enforce this against anybody. And we would like to just remind everyone to please be sensitive of how your words, your actions, and other things that you do, please be mindful of how they are perceived. I will say that generally we don't have any issues with this, and we don't, we certainly don't want to get into a situation where we have to remove something or issue sanctions because of a build. So hopefully this makes our stance fairly clear. This is all based in most important rule 1, but I hope that this is a good starting point because, yeah, go ahead, Frumple.
I'll just add on for all other things that were discussed as part of this topic. The staff will be taking a sort of case-by-case basis, just looking at the context of what the person intended. So this will include things like hammer and sickles, which were quite discussed a lot. This also includes things like prisons, prison camps, that sort of thing. So yeah, just to make it clear. So those are not explicitly banned, but if we receive a complaint about them, we'll look into them and make a determination.
Cool. There was one last thing. This affects staff more than it affects everybody, but we want to at least make sure that you all are aware that they exist and what the purpose is. At the July GSM, one of our redacted topics is going to be talking about scheduling recurring one-on-one meetings between every staff member and someone in the rank above them. So the idea for this comes out of a lot of work environments where it's very common for someone to have recurring meetings with their manager. And these meetings, these one-on-ones that we're going to have and what's common in a workplace, they are there to provide just an open environment for both parties to just touch base with each other, to make sure that both sides are on the same page with expectations, make sure that everybody understands how to do specific things. We had a case with a staff member not knowing how to do some fairly important tasks, but that was we just needed to talk about it and make sure that they knew what to do. So, which is it's not a fault really of that particular staff member. It's just, let's just talk about it. So the way that this is going to work is that effectively every 6 months, we want to have a quick chat between, that each staff member is going to have a chat with someone in the higher rank. We don't know the details, and we don't know like how we want to distribute the load of this, but just know that these are going to exist. They will be private conversations. They are not designed to be punitive. They are not designed to be a formal review. It is just a space that we want to create for everybody to have a space to connect and make sure that we're all doing okay. And that if there are any concerns, that we can address them fairly, privately, and that we can pass them around within the staff team. Frumple and I will probably have much more frequent ones just because of the nature of me being head admin. But I would say that other staff should expect some conversations of that at the July GSM, and then more frequent one-on-ones going forward.
Just to clarify, there'll be a redacted topic
yes.
for staff, where we'll just basically work out all the details of how this is going to work. It just won't be me and Chief. Other admins have also offered to have those conversations, and really, it's not so. I don't want to make it too formal. It is more just like a check-in, just to make sure if you're having fun on the server and if you have any concerns or whatnot. So.
Yep. So just to give everyone a heads up in case that shows up in conversation, that it will exist. And so just so you know.
It's not something anyone should be worried about.
No, absolutely not. Okay. That's all I have for my notes. Admins, anything that I missed? Okay, seeing none, we can start taking questions. If you have them, please ping me in the meeting channel.
I believe there were quite a few questions on the first topic.
Yeah, there have been, I think, a couple. So yes, if you have questions, just shoot me a ping and I'll put you on my queue. And we can unmute if you need. So. Okay, a couple coming in, so I'll just address the ones that are coming in text right now. Okay, John G asks, how do you like my inexact transcription? That's not really a serious question for right now. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. There will be a summary that goes on the website after. Protocol is asking, why did it take so long? So Narnia has been responding to stuff within the staff channels for the last couple of months. We generally want to at least give staff a bit of time because we do understand that, just like you guys, that staff do have real life stuff that can happen. And so we just wanted to make sure that that it all that everything at least was going okay. So that's again, it's not something. Any demotion is something that we don't take lightly. We hate having to do that. It's last on our toolkit besides full demotion stuff. So yeah, it's not something that we want to do lightly. Volpe is asking, staff activity thing, does that include Discord activity? So to be honest, we didn't talk about that a whole lot, but I think that would be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
When we talk about activity, we're talking about in the context of not just activity on the server itself, but also activity when it comes to handling staff responsibilities like voting on towns. So
yeah, and a lot of that does require Minecraft.
Yeah.
or more specifically doing, or more simply doing world edits. Like, are they on in game and helping out in that general basis?
Yeah. So I would say that, I mean, generally, I wouldn't, it may help, but it's not going to be the basis of it, because the bulk of staff duties are not in Discord. The bulk of them are related to Minecraft, because we are fundamentally a Minecraft server.
Are we? I don't know.
Okay. Robin asks, in the past, we have allowed mods and admins to take extended leave within reason. Is this still going to be considered? Absolutely. Any staff member who has something going on, who needs to take a longer break, can just contact the admins, and admins can contact myself and Frumple, and we can talk it through, make a plan, and make sure that everything is accounted for, or if stuff needs to be handed off or whatever. It's something that, we, as always, real life takes priority. Volpe asks, related to the staff meeting stuff. So we scrapped that as a formality. So we're not actually going to mandate staff meeting attendance, just because taking attendance sounds like a lot of work.
I think it's referring to the one-on-one.
Oh, one-on-one. So the yes, the one-on-one. So the implementation of that, we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. That'll be a redacted topic at that at the July GSM.
Yeah.
So
I can at least say I think voice chat is an absolute requirement. I don't think you can have those organizations easily through text. You can miss a lot of nuance from that. Chief, I think you may have missed Kyle's question about the accidental swastikas.
Thank you. Yes, Kyle asks, I know there have been questions on stuff like accidental swastikas, like a road formation by accident. What will the general policy be on this? So road formations and stuff like that, and I mean the old world MRT map, depending on how you draw it, could be said that it includes a swastika as a part of that. I would say it really depends on context. I think it's like, if it's purely accidental, then that's less of an issue, but that's going to be hard to determine. I would say if you can remove it, it's probably better. I mean, the statement that we have is Nazi swastikas, right? So there are cases where that symbol can be used in a different context. The primary example of that is in Buddhism. So if you go to Japan, you're going to see that show up on maps anytime you're looking for a temple, which in Western culture is very different than how we use it. So that's why we're not banning the whole thing. We're banning that context. So because I think that it's pretty universally accepted that that context isn't acceptable. Is that it? Okay. Otto asks, the symbolism thing, will this apply to neutrally presented museums? So we did talk about that for a while, and that one's going to be tricky also. And I think the consensus that we reached was that it's going to be really tricky to, generally, that we're okay with using it as an educational perspective, but it's something that is going to be really hard to define. And it's, I mean, even like in the real world, you have to be careful with how that sort of stuff is presented.
I think the simple answer for this is just to be safe, like just at least the symbols that we've mentioned in this guideline, or I guess rule technically, we're just gonna say no, like these should not be allowed. There may be room for exceptions if say someone has a specific purpose for these symbols, but I think it'd be just easier to just blanket say no, these sort of symbols should not be allowed at all.
It's better to just err on the side of caution with that. Okay. Are there any other questions, or Otto, at least does that address your question?
Looks like he's replying right now.
Yeah. Janji, it is being broadcasted on MBS, so you don't have to worry about typing too much if your fingers are hurting. If anyone else has any questions, now is a good time to ask.
For viewers on MBS who are just joining us, we're in the press conference of an impromptu administrative staff meeting.
Yeah, Otto, if you want to.
We are in the press
Yeah,
conference.
I would say if you want to just pull one of us aside after, and we can chat about it with you directly. Then that'll give you enough space to at least make sure that that we're able to talk it through.
Yeah. Or maybe email. It might be because we want to know what the context is, and probably the best way is to actually build it first. Maybe say on a single player world and show us, because with that, then we'd be able to determine whether that's acceptable or not. Yeah, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, email the admins if you need to. That's probably a good way to go about it. Okay. Any other questions?
Again, for viewers on MBS, if you're just joining us, we're in the press conference of an impromptu administrative staff meeting where some major announcements were made. We're going to have a recap of those shortly after.
Are staff more inclined to add more people to the staff team because of the resignation of Heaven and the demotion of Narnia? And for the Asian players, will time zones factor into that decision more? So I will say that we do want people to submit nominations. In fact, some might say that we need more people to submit nominations, especially given the higher traffic that we've seen. So in terms of bringing more people onto the staff team, please do send nominations in. Thank you, gods. Yes, make sure that they are detailed. There is a GSM in 2 weeks, so we certainly could consider candidates then. As of right now, I can say that we have 2 candidates who have enough nominations for consideration. So, but if you guys have other people who you want us to consider, send them in. In terms of time zones, time zones are always going to be a weird thing to include because we understand that for the Asia Pacific time zones especially, that having staff online is really, really important. And it's good to just have regional representation for a number of other reasons. I want to counter that with just because someone lives in a particular part of the world or observes a particular time zone, that doesn't correlate into how well we think they will perform on the staff team. So it's a lot more about the candidate themselves than the time zone they observe. I will say it would be awesome if there were some candidates submitted who are from that time zone. But that's not a primary factor. I think that's more of a secondary factor. Say, if we, if we're considering a bunch at once, then that might factor in. The only other time that really would matter is for admins, and the reason for that is a technical one because we have a limit of how many MRT email addresses we can create at once. So then it might factor in more. But But for moderators, then I would say it doesn't matter as much. So yes, we want to add more staff members in the next few months, especially because the numbers are shifting around a little bit. So please send nominations to the staff email. Any other questions?
And please don't send nominations that say, "I want this person to be mod because I like them."
Yeah. Basically, don't send a nomination just to send a nomination. Please have a reason behind it.
Yes, please make sure that they are actual, like, thoughtful reasons why we should consider someone for moderator.
And whoever's got a washing machine in the room, can you turn your mic off?
That was Sinra. But yeah, basically we're looking for that stuff, and obviously, just because I will say, I know we've had obviously a lot of questions about, what are you putting for basically solely depends on, I think, in addition to Chief's answer, we'll say we take consideration, but don't I guess we do take everything into consideration, the good and the bad, so don't just think that we're solely going to think about times as the only reason. So you do need to give more reason than just that.
And also, I will say that most of the time, when someone crosses the 2 nomination threshold, it takes us arguing about that person for probably 15 minutes. So this is, we do thoroughly talk about everyone.
It is a big deal. I mean,
yeah. Okay. It seems like there are no other questions. We're happy to talk about specifics, or if you have additional questions, just grab an admin offline, and we'd be happy to address stuff individually with you. Otherwise, I am going to close this press conference here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the impromptu meeting. Admin's great job on keeping it under wraps. That was good. So. And go build in the hotel contest and at Desert Sun, please. That's all we have. Thanks, everyone.
And for our viewers on MBS, thank you for joining us for this press conference. We have there were some major announcements made today following the unannounced administrative staff meeting. The first of these announcements being that Narnia 17 was demoted from mod. Narnia 17 has been a mod since, if I recall, early 2017, so he's been a mod for a few years, and he has been demoted due to inactivity. He has not been on very much lately. Staff also announced certain criteria by which they would judge the activity of mods, those being their connection to the Minecraft server, their level of helping the community, and voting on city rank promotions batches, and the staff members who don't do these in a 90-day period will be subject to an inactivity process that could ultimately result in demotion. Frumple and Chief also announced that there will be bi-yearly meetings every 6 months between staff members and those of a rank higher than them that will be, as Chief described, a checkup that will, among other things, include discussion over mods' activities. Also announced today, Godziltrain has been re-promoted to admin. God's previously served as an admin, but resigned as of the August GSM last year due to inactivity, but he has returned to activity lately. A few months ago, he was re-promoted back to mod, and now he has been re-promoted back to admin. Mega Scatterbomb, who was promoted to admin around the time that God's resigned, will retain Gods' former title as the city rank promotions coordinator for the time being, Frumple and Chief announced. With that, this has been a special report from MBS News with the press conference of the impromptu administrative staff meeting. I'm Kitty Catwoman 231, MBS News, Central City.